Nikki here from Cluckin this morning. Hope y'all are having a good morning. It is cold here, very cold. So something I want to talk to y'all about, I really don't think it's widely discussed in the homesteading community. People, when they think of homesteading, they think of ones that literally live off of their homestead fully. They raise everything that they need. They have properties and such. And that's not really it. You know, homesteading is a lifestyle. It is learning, to do things for yourself. It's a self-sufficiency is what it is. And also, hasn't been talked about a lot, is the fact that not every homesteader does this 100%. Not every homesteader can fully raise all their own food, live off of their property, without having an outside job. I currently have to work part-time. My middle son works full-time, and then my oldest son and my husband are disabled. So we have a very minimum on our income. And right now we are not able to do everything we want. You know, we have the goats for milk and meat. We have the rabbits for meat and enjoyment. You know, a lot of our animals are for enjoyment as well. And then, like, the chickens are for eggs and meat. We're not where we want to be. We have a garden, but we still have to outsource a lot of things. You know, some of our produce we still like to buy from locals, you know, farmers markets and such like that. A lot of our meats is still outsourced as well, because we're just not where we want to be, which is okay. During the time like this, so Jess over at Roots and Refuge, she kind of talked a little bit about this too, that she called it a waiting room. During this time frame here, while you're waiting is your waiting room. You're getting prepared, and you need to use this time to prepare yourself. Learn those skills. That way, when you are ready to jump off and do this, you have those skills. It's like gardening with me. Ooh, just got a very chilly breeze just moved through here. So, with gardening, my parents always had a garden. We always had some kind of animal. You know, we had chickens, we had pigs, something when I was growing up. But we always had a garden. But it felt like a chore. You know, as a kid, most kids see it as, you know, it's a chore. And so I really wasn't all that interested in gardening. And it wasn't until I was pregnant with my oldest one that I really got that gardening bug, you know. I had pots outside of our house. I think I had four or five, you know, those really big ones, and then several little bitty ones full of mostly herbs. That's kind of where I started. I figured that would be pretty something easy to start with. And so I started with the herbs, and I really loved it, you know. I really loved what I could do. In fact, I think I might actually had like one tomato plant. And then each year it grew. Each year my garden grew. You know, for a while there it was pots. And then I went to trying an in-ground one. Each year my garden grew. bigger and bigger. You know, and I learned so much. I have gardened in so many different places. The dry west, the wetter east, the middle of the states. You know, I have gardened in almost every climate in the U.S. except the frozen north. But I learned those skills. And it's the same thing like with the animals. Like I said, we always had something as a kid. But it wasn't until I got on my own that I really wanted that for myself. You know, we started with chickens, like most people do. You know, they say chickens are the gateway animal. And they can be. I think rabbits are too, though. And so we started with chickens. And I think I had chickens and ducks that year. And then from there, it just, you know, we had to sell our flocks when we moved. And I'd always get more chickens. We got goats when my oldest two were younger. Because we found out that my oldest son couldn't tolerate cow's milk. And so we got goats then. And having goats is definitely a huge learning curve. Let me tell you, you learn a lot real fast with goats. But I loved it. I loved having my goats. And it kind of grew, you know, raising different things. It kind of grew. When I was living in Missouri, we had pigs. We actually had the potbelly pigs, which was so fun. You know, we really had a blast with them. Yeah, and I learned a lot. I definitely learned a lot with raising them. And it's those skills that you learn over time that helps prepare you for when you really want to jump off and do this. Another skill could be bread making. And that one definitely takes a lot to learn. I started, you know, when I was 12. I kind of got into making breads, pies, mostly for self-preservation because I didn't like my mom's pie crust or rolls, so that was kind of a self-preservation deal on that one. And it just grew, you know, learning more and more. I've always been an avid baker. And then when my middle son was 2, we found out that he was highly allergic to soy. Soy isn't everything. You know, go to your pantry and pick up something and it's going to have soybean oil in it. Or some kind of soy flour, soy lecithin. And, you know, he couldn't have it. So that became a big challenge. I already knew how to make bread, so it was just one of those kind of dusting off those skills and getting back at it. And I made it a very strong point that I was going to make all of our bread. And it took a while to learn to make all our own breads, you know, cakes, cookies, like all that stuff. But it's one of those skills that has grown over time. Even when I found out for a time that I was having an intolerance to gluten, I had to change mindsets. And it was a struggle, but I learned to do it. You know, it was a skill that I added in there into my portfolio, you might say. And I have learned more and more over time. And then we found out that I don't actually have a gluten insensitivity. It actually just is the flour. Because if I do the sourdough, and it has to be a long fermented sourdough, like at least, you know, 15 hours plus, I can have it. I can tolerate it just fine. And that's another skill that I have added in, is learning to do sourdough. So for the last year, I have literally made our breads 100%. They have all been sourdough. I have made pies, or I should say pie crust, biscuits, rolls, everything of that nature has been 100% sourdough, and I have made it 100% the last year. But it started small. And while you're in this waiting game right now, where you can't do what you want, where you may not financially able to jump off and do more. Build those skills. You know, most homesteaders will tell you, you still are learning. Even after you have that dream of self-sufficiency, you're still learning every day on the homestead. There is things that pop up, you know, that people have been homesteading for 20, 30 years. You know, something pops up that they've never seen before in their life, even after the whole time frame. You know, there's a group that I follow for goats that the main lady that runs it, she's been raising goats for 23 years. And there are still things that people will bring in and say, hey, what about this? That she has never seen. So you're still learning every day, even on the homestead. You're still adding to those skills. And so it's okay if you are not where you want to be. Because we're not even where we want to be. You know, we want more property. We want to be that full, or as mostly self-sufficient as we can, especially with our food, you know. And it's food security. I think that's the main thing you probably should call it, is a food security. Is that if, you know, one of those crap hits the fan, you're going to have food. You know, you're not going to have to worry about that, having food for you and for your family, or having those skills to do that. And so, yeah, there are so many homesteaders that don't do it 100%. I'm sure the majority of them, that is a goal in the future, because I know it is one of our goals, but not everybody can do it 100%. And it's okay. Just build those skills while you're in your waiting room. Alright, so thanks for watching. I am going to go in and warm up. We are sitting at 31 degrees right now, and I'm pretty chilly. It's going to get 16 tonight, so I am dreading that. So y'all have a good day, and definitely get on those skills. All right.